Every once in a while, a car design comes out that will stand the test of time and that does not need to be completely refreshed in over a decade. We had the Challenger, a great example of that, unfortunately discontinued for 2024. And we also had the Volvo XC60, which they have now refreshed again with a facelift that I think is almost the perfect refresh for this model. So we're gonna have a look at this design from a front, side, and rear, the interior as well. I'm a little bit worried about the interiors for Volvo. I do think they're going towards what everybody else is doing with dual screens. And honestly, I want to hear your opinion on this. Do you think, I want to hear am I the only one who prefers more analog interiors over these screens that we have? I'm not sure if I can do a poll on YouTube. I'm gonna try to do that. If I can't figure that out, I'm gonna put in the comments section, I'm gonna put analog or digital as two comments, and I want to see which one of those gets most likes to see sort of where the market is on these new interiors. But before we jump into Photoshop here, let's have a look at this article from Car Scoop. I'm gonna link it down below, of course, as always. And let's see what this is all about. So 2026 Volvo XC60 gets another refresh after 9 years on the market. And since this is a refresh now, that means that this will probably be out for at least a couple of years, which is gonna take it over that decade line, which is a lifetime when it comes to one single car model. The XC60 features a faster media system that'll be rolled out to Volvo's entire lineup this coming year. It's another mild makeover. It does not need a substantial makeover because it's such a stunning, beautiful SUV, one of the best looking SUVs in my opinion on sale right now. So you have an XC90 style air intake, is joined by new wheels that look great, and also darker taillights. And these darker taillights that Volvo is putting on the new XC90 and now the XC60 is such a small little tweak, but it gives it this deep, almost deep blood red style when the lights are on. I think it looks gorgeous. Now the interior gets a larger, of course, 11.2-inch touchscreen display. Most Volvo coverage has been centered on the little EX30 EV, which we made a video on right here, and the updated XC90, and also the upcoming EX60, which is going to be the electric version, I do believe, of the XC60. But things definitely haven't been quiet in Volvo's showroom where the XC60 is concerned. The second generation model has been the Swedish automaker best-selling product since it was introduced back in 2017. So this to me, I mean, obviously to Volvo as well, is just a massive success story, the XC60. So last updated for the XC60 was in 2021 when it gave it new grille, wheels, color, and trim options. And they also improved the infotainment system back then as well. Now for 2026 model year, revisions follow a very similar path. The biggest exterior giveaway for the 2026 model year is the new grille. So this is a very interesting style for the grille here. It's modeled on the revised grille design Volvo introduced with the XC60 last year. So instead of a simple grid pattern, the grille contains a series of diagonal lines in different angles, very similar to what BMW did with, I do believe, the new X3, I do believe it is, that has similar styling to that. Volvo is also fitted, as we talked about, darker taillights, looking great. New optional wheel designs as well, and added a couple of different paint options. Sort of standard stuff when you're refreshing or facelifting a car like this. Now the cabin updates here include new materials designed to make the ambience more premium, including quilted Nordico and navy herringbone weave, a better wireless phone charger, and new cup holders as well. So they redesigned the cup holders here. You got a new infotainment screen. It's jumped in size from 9 inches to 11.2 inches. And I honestly don't think that was necessary, because look at this interior, how this sticks up here on the top, just to add a couple of more inches to the screen size. To me, that was not necessary, because now it just doesn't have the same flow as we used to have in the 9-inch screen, and I would much rather have the 9-inch back. I would pay extra to have the 9-inch smaller screen in this case. You also have a better pixel density to deliver sharper images. So it makes the whole package twice as fast as the outgoing system, which is great. We don't want laggy systems for a 2026 model year. And 10 times as fast at generating graphics. You also have a bunch of Google services built in here, including Google Navigation. So US cars should still have the same powertrains as before. That is not bad at all either. They were great powertrains. You have the choice of a 247 horsepower, 2-liter mild hybrid 4-cylinder in the B5, and then of course the T8 plug-in hybrid with 455 horsepower. That is a classy, powerful small SUV, and that swaps the 48 volt electrics for a real motor and battery. In Europe, you do get a couple of more options here. You got a 345 horsepower T6 as well, which would be pretty, I think that would sell pretty well here as well. Instead of the 247 horsepower, we can still have the base, but it would make sense to bring in sort of a middle trim for the XC60 in the US as well. So looking at the design here, let's just quickly have a look at these images. And here you can see this new pattern for the grille. In BMW, it looks strange. It sort of looks maybe a little strange here as well, but I think Volvo did a better job implementing these asymmetrical designs, or maybe it is symmetrical. If you just put a center line here, it sort of is symmetrical, but I think Volvo has done a better job. Can I remove this ad right here? There we go. So the front end looks super clean, clearly identifiable as an XC60, as you can see. Clearly defined lines. We're going to talk more about this in a minute in Photoshop. Side view, beautiful. Here you can see the tinted taillights with this dark, as I said, it just brings down, it makes it feel like, almost an more organic vibe when you have this darker red instead of this bright red that we're used to seeing in regular taillights. Beautiful looking design. But as I said, I'm a little bit worried about the interiors. I want to show you this video and show you where Volvo is headed when it comes to the interior design.
The technology is kind of secondary, and we put together like a series of design principles for user experience that do not name technology. They just talk about behaviors and what we want people to achieve with our products.
UX and this kind of design, it's really about the humans being involved. If they're not involved, if we don't bring a lot of diverse perspectives to the table, we're going to probably create something that doesn't resonate so much. So we really need to bring people in and work with them along the way.
What's special about the EX90?
The new EX90, the EV.
As a whole is super special. It is, as we say, it's like a supercomputer on wheels. We take all the complexity of the data that the car can see and process, and we present it to the people in the most humble and understated way.
More and more, the cars are becoming an ecosystem. There's more that's happening, not just in the car, but in and around the car. It's a much more omni-channel experience and interconnected in the future.
Well, how do we rationalize more versus less?
Actually, we have different ways of handling this, right? You still have it in the below, but so you have another view here.
This is sort of what interior designers do these days. I'm not sure if they can be called interior designers, more UX designers. I think UX designers, software designers are taking a bigger role now compared to what interior designers used to have when they sculpted this interiors. And look at the new EX90 interior, for example. It's starting to look more like every single car manufacturer, and we're starting to get the same vibe from Volvo, removing the deep dash, the deep gauge cluster. Instead, have a small little screen that just sits randomly behind the steering wheel, and also a big screen right in the middle.
You have another view here, for example. You have it, like a camera on this side, and then the camera.
So for example, we work with profiles in the car which help you to sort of have your seats set, your steering wheel set. If someone else has driven the car, you come back to it and it recognizes me. It recognizes me from a distance if I have my phone key. So how can I come to my car and have it sort of meet me knowing it's me?
So for us, the phone is actually a very important bridge between the car and everything else that you care about in life. Our team's purpose is to find more of that overlap between the experiences that you value outside the car and what it is that you're doing inside of the car, and bring them together in a beautiful experience.
I think in design sometimes it's us and them, but you really need to bridge that gap repeatedly and do the work alongside the the people you're designing for.
We have, interaction designers, we have visual designers, we have motion designers, we have user researchers. We collaborate.
That was a fantastic looking mustache right there. Look at that. I wonder how long it takes to craft that. You should do more of those crafting for the interior designs at Volvo as well.
We have user researchers. We collaborate with each other to bring all of these skill sets. But what people want to do at the end of the day is still visit their loved ones, go to work, take people to hockey lessons and those kinds of things. What UX really is making all of those capabilities and all of that technology available to people to achieve what they want to do in a seamless way.
Clean looking design. Love the EX90, and the new XC90 looks great as well. Yeah, I don't know, it's starting to feel a little bit overdone to have these type of interiors. But I'm gonna put the sort of poll down in the comment section, and let me know which one you prefer. If you prefer the older generations, maybe just going back 5 years or so, we had such different interiors for cars. More analog. It was still digital though, but the styling for them just looked very, very different. So with that said, let's jump into Photoshop here and let's check out this design, the new XC60 refresh. And let me show you why I think this is such a timeless looking design. I mean, it's very obvious to me why it is a timeless design. It's all because of the styling. The proportions are classic. There is nothing here that stands out or trying to be too different. I also love the hood design here with these lines. Let's see if I can get the brush correct here. With these lines going in the corners, and then we have this line coming down from the A-pillar and cutting in. If you continue this line, you can see that it goes straight into the very corner of the grill. And this is the new grill that we talked about, having these diagonal lines instead of just a mesh pattern. So I do think it looks very cool, pretty unique. At least BMW is sort of doing the same thing, but I think it looks very clean. And we also have these lines. We have one separate single line right here at the bottom that cuts through the grill and creating these beautiful chamfers that we have in the lower section, these wings for Volvo. Looking very clean, massive opening down here at the lower section. I do believe the grille is also open up here. A very chiseled and chamfered design. And then of course the Thor's hammer headlights coming in here on the XC60. You can see that this piece of the LED actually comes in and connects with the side of the grille. Something that I don't believe, we didn't have that at least in the previous generation XC90. That was one difference in the front end that you can see between the two models. Now looking at the side view, or sort of the front view, I wanted to have a clear front view just to show you the grille here. But looking at the proportions here, beautiful flow, and also it's very simple surfaces with a couple of key sharp lines. We also have this lower section being body painted, of course creating a much more upscale and much more luxurious look than if we were to have these be black plastic, simple plastic. This makes it feel like a much more upscale model. I also love that we have the dark theme on this specific XC60. Definitely something that I 100% would go in, meaning that we have blacked out caps for the mirrors, and we also have the black trim going around the greenhouse here. Now looking at the clear proper side view, you can clearly see the proportions here, just how stunning of a design this is. The greenhouse doesn't sit too high up. We have this sloping roofline with a spoiler in the back, looking very clean and sporty, and we have one single shoulder line in the back that then fades into the center portion and sort of comes back right here in the front end. And look at this upright front end, very classy and very elegant, stately looking design. We have the brand new wheels for 2026 as well. I do like these wheels. I think they look beautiful. They sort of suit the overall design. The rear end is my favorite part of the XC60 because even in side view, we have a clear line flow from the key graphics going into the bodywork and having this European style waterfall design in the bumper as well. So if we follow this line, you can see that it connects with this line that then goes in and creates a properly defined bumper in the rear end. And this is something that I appreciate when designers have the key graphics, in this case the LEDs for the rear end, follow the metal, the sheet metal into the same line, and then creating another key feature, which in this case is going to be the lower section, the bumper right here, which is clearly defined. As you can see, it's starting to become very rare to see that today. Now looking at the 3/4 rear view here, I mean, just look at how beautiful this design is, with specifically now when we have these new dark tinted taillights. It just looks so good. And the color itself here, the dark gray, Very classy color, and probably something that I would consider getting if I were buying an XC60, because I think these type of colors, when you have such a clean design like this, it becomes like a piece of art, like a statue or something, a sculpture, and it looks stunning with these new LEDs in the rear. And here you can see this waterfall design that we talked about from European, mainly German automakers have this. We have this panel here, this piece coming in and then creating this chamfer that then goes in and creates the bumper in the rear end. What I do want to see here though, specifically if this is the T8, the 444 horsepower, I would like to see visible exhaust pipes in the rear end, just because it's such a sporty model. Just have something like this, maybe visible exhaust pipes down at the bottom. And I do think that is actually a trend that is slowly coming back into the market for specifically high performance cars and SUVs and other vehicles. You can see the clean lines here, this line cutting out some volume in the lower section of the side view. Just a stunning looking design. Now looking at the interior, thankfully it's still a proper gauge cluster here. What I mean by that, it sits well deep inside of this cave, as you can see, looking beautiful. This is probably something that is most likely, almost 99% chance that this is going away for the EX60 whenever that comes out. We're gonna lose this beautiful interior, and now we have this bigger 11.2 inch infotainment screen that sticks up. Very annoying to see that this sticks up right here, and this is the reason why I want to have the 9-inch, which sat perfectly inside of this graphics, and we didn't have this piece sticking up. It just ruins the elegance of this interior, in my opinion, because everything else is so smooth and so wavy and so organic, and the material choices always, when it comes to Volvo, one of the best brands to pick materials for the interior. You can see that we still have the Orrefors, the Swedish glass maker, designed for the gear selector, looking beautiful. And we have the drive modes here, on and off, start. I think you twist it on Volvo, so I remember it correctly, to start it up. So beautiful looking refresh from Volvo, and I'm glad to see that they're not changing up this design too much, because it's not necessary. It's not always necessary to have, you know, a brand new model come out after a decade or so, when the design from the beginning, when it was designed from the start, is such a phenomenal design, like the Volvo XC60 is.